Hey, happy Good Friday. I hope that you're all doing well. Welcome to another God Nugget for Kids, and today is part 3 of our resurrection eggs. So let's see what we've got in store for us today on Good Friday. The last 4 eggs we're going to look at. First is this one. Now, let me just say to you that last Friday, we talked about a pretty difficult time in Jesus' life, and there were a lot of very bad things that happened to him. I hope that you're watching these God Nuggets with an older person who can talk with you a little bit about some of the things you're hearing. This really is some pretty serious business when we talk about Jesus dying on the cross. And there is one more piece of very violent, serious business, and that is this purple egg. And this reminds us of a spear that was part of Jesus's crucifixion story. You see, there was a custom back in that day, and that was that you didn't want a person who had died to just be left by sunset. In the tradition of the day, you wanted that person to be taken and cared for and put in a grave. And so when someone was being crucified on a cross, like Jesus was, and like the 2 people next to him, one of the ways that they would make sure the person had fully died is that they would break their legs. And with their broken legs, the people couldn't push up in order to breathe. Well, they broke the legs of the thieves who were being crucified next to Jesus, but they didn't break Jesus's legs because he had already died. So what they did instead was they took a spear and they stabbed Jesus in the side to be sure that he was dead, and he certainly was. Again, an awful part of the crucifixion story, and a very sad thing to know when we think about Jesus dying on the cross. Well, as we move along in the story, we come to this next egg. And in this one, oh, I skipped ahead. It's this one. This egg has a piece of white linen cloth. Did you ever wonder what white linen cloth has to do with Jesus dying on the cross? Well, let me read it for you. When it was evening, a rich man came from Arimathea named Joseph. This is a different Joseph, not Jesus's dad. And he was a disciple of Jesus. He went to Pilate and asked for Jesus's body. Then Pilate ordered it should be given to him. And Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a clean linen shroud and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had cut in a rock. So the grave that Jesus was laid in was not like a hole in the ground. It was a hole in the side of a hill, a very rocky hill, and they cut into that rocky hole to make a cave, and that's where Jesus was buried. And the linen shroud covered Jesus as a burial cloth. Well, there's more to the story. Now it's time for this pink egg, and look what's in here. This is a rock that reminds us of how the grave was closed. There wasn't a door to be closed. It was a rock. Listen to this. Joseph rolled a great rock to the entrance of the tomb, and he went away. That's how they closed the door. They pushed this rock, probably like close to the size of a small car, and it rolled and it covered the door so that no one could get in. Pretty interesting, isn't it? Well, there's more to the story than just the rock. Are you ready for this? Listen to this. After the Sabbath and toward the dawn of the first day of the week, two women, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, went to see the tomb where Jesus had been buried. And there had been a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone, that big rock, and he sat on it. Isn't that so amazing to think about? That big rock getting pushed back and an angel just sitting there on the rock? Listen to this. His appearance was like lightning and his clothing was white as snow. That's what this last egg is all about. Are you ready for what's in the last egg? It's empty. And the reason that it's empty is to remind us of what was inside that cave after the angel rolled the stone back. Listen to this. The angel said, "Don't be afraid. I know you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has risen from the dead, just as he said. Come on in. Come see the place where he was laying." And so the women, presumably they did. They apparently walked in and looked, and sure enough, it was empty. He's not here. He has risen. Go now, quickly, tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And he is going before you to Galilee, and there you will see him. See, I have told you. So the women departed quickly from the tomb with fear and great joy and ran to tell his disciples. And there's more to the story because the women met Jesus along the way. Just an awesome, awesome story. So when we think about all of the bad things that happened to Jesus that led up to his crucifixion and the crucifixion itself and Jesus dying, the great, exciting, final part of the story is that he did not stay dead. Jesus conquered death. Isn't that fantastic? And so that's how we can have peace. We don't have to worry about someday that we would die. We don't have to be horribly sad when people who know Jesus, when they die. We're a little bit sad, but we know that Jesus defeated death. And he promises that for those who know him, he'll do the exact same thing for them. And when we come back to life, it won't be here on earth. It will be in a brand new place, a new earth, a new kingdom that will last forever. Now listen, you hear a lot of things about Jesus and you hear lots of stories. But if you've never prayed and told Jesus that you're sorry for your sins and thanked him for taking the punishment that you deserve and for defeating death, if you've never asked him for forgiveness that can only come from him, why don't you talk to somebody about praying that prayer? Or maybe talk to God about having that conversation and tell him that you also want to be a follower of Jesus for all of your life. And of course, if you ever want to talk to me about any of this, I would love it. Hey, I hope you have a wonderful day today on this Good Friday, and I hope to see you at church on Easter Sunday. God bless you. Bye.